You can lose things. You can lose your children. You can lose your homes. You can lose your jobs. But you know what? I'm self-employed. I was already, like, when you're at the bottom and you've lost everything and you've been sick for so long, there's no place to go but up. And you know what? When you're near death and you realize you've got one thing to stand for in your life, you know, I wanted to leave a legacy behind. And my kids said, "You want to go for it, Mom." So I started my own medical garden. My daughter and I'll never forget when we bought all of our seeds and everything for the garden. We had 31 different strains because we wanted the 31 flavors, just like Baskin Robbins in our garden. We stuffed them in our bras, drove across the state lines from Toronto over here, which I can probably get in a lot of trouble if anyone's recording this, which is, you know. But you know something? It was the best thing that I ever done, and I dedicated my life to this. You know? And I'm not a traditional activist. I don't come from the activism world, but you know what? I'm a mainstream, I'm a corporate woman, I'm a self-made woman. I am a hard-working, dedicated, passionate, compassionate woman who cares very deeply about every single one of you here tonight. You know, this is a movement that is gathered by stories like Maria Green, you know, by stories like Sharon Newfer and John Pardee and Kevin Spittler, and God bless him. He lost his mom today. He lost his mom, and he's here to carry on this message to make sure that her life stood for something, that his life stood for something, and I really commend you for that. The strength that you're showing and your character to be here tonight to continue on is amazing. So as I was saying earlier, I'm not a traditional activist, but you know what? I'm really good at some things. I'm not good at all things, but I'm really good at some things. You know what I'm really good at? I'm really good at understanding stories and how to tell those stories in the media. And what I did is I launched a campaign to make sure that people all across the country, preferably mainstream, because we've all been begging for mainstream acceptance. Why didn't mainstream paint us as anything other than losers or stoners or whatever? And that's not what this is about. I know several very, very amazing people who are amazing activists and professionals and patients, and we're from all different walks of life. And it's important to tell those stories. But you know what? I remember talking about media for the first time and talking about coming out of the closet and telling our stories, and my friend Al Olson from the Today Show, he says, "You know what? They'll do a story on mainstream about marijuana when hell freezes over, Cheryl." And so this past July, I called him. I said, "You know what, Al? Hell froze over this month." Because you know what? In July alone, on July 19th, my daughter and I, who's my best friend, she's 32 years old. She was with me the entire time I had cancer. And she stayed with me, and she's still with me. We built our company. And on July 19th alone, we appeared on ABC's Good Morning America, on a repeat of The View, a repeat of the Ricky Lake Show. We appeared on ABC's 2020 on Katie Couric with Dr. Sanjay Gupta, and on July 19th, we set records breaking 870% of ABC's ratings in the history of that network. On July 19th, we also were viewed by over 100 million people. It has never, ever been done. And you know what? My phone has not stopped ringing, so I'm telling you, all of those people that are out there in the mainstream, I've received over 200,000 emails from people all across this country who've seen those appearances. Says, "Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to not feel ashamed or not feel guilty about being a cannabis consumer." And you know what? I was talking to a couple of ladies that were with us in Michigan who've never experienced the liberation, the ability to use cannabis openly and freely without judgment, without criticism, without feeling like a bad person. We are good, honest, hardworking people who choose a holistic healing path for our bodies. Cannabis has been used for thousands of years and was available in our pharmacies up until the 1930s. And with Pauline Sabin, I don't know if any of you know who Pauline Sabin was. But Pauline Sabin was a woman of society in the 1930s that saw that alcohol prohibition needed to be ended, and she gathered her society friends and she started a campaign, and she didn't stop until alcohol prohibition was ended. And you know what? We are witnessing right now, led by, I'm telling you, a group of amazing women, including the Northwest Ohio women over there. But you are witnessing witnessing women at the forefront of this movement, and make no mistake about it, my friends, you are witnessing the beginning to the end of cannabis prohibition, and it's going to end with Ohio passing 2014 with the Ohio Rights Group. And I couldn't be more honored to be a part of it. So I've been holding this ashtray, and I have to tell you a funny story about these ashtrays. You know, with the Beverly Hills Cannabis Club, I have these cannabis tastings, and I have these chefs that come and cook for us. You know, we do all these fun things there. And I got this ashtray. The first one I did was as a prototype because I wanted to do these as gifts for people and as like fundraising ideas. But I only had one for the longest time, and it was my prototype. So it was kind of an inside joke. I would have the one prototype on there because I'm in product placement, right? Very important, get the product in the shot. Anytime you're doing that media, get the product in the shot, right? So my poor lady, they were firing up joints, and every single time they would go to hit their joint on the ashtray, I was like, no, you can't use the ashtray. It's not actually for anyone to use. It's a prop for product placement. So these poor ladies, I felt so bad because I had to like stop them from doing all this. But I'm very proud to say the very first product that we've done for the Beverly Hills Cannabis Club, and I wanted to do something that everyone could have all across the country. It's 14 karat gold leaf with our Beverly Hills Cannabis Club shield, and I've donated several hundred of them to the Ohio Rights Group. And I would ask that if you have time, if you would like to support the Ohio Rights Group, please stop by, get an ashtray. We're asking for a donation of $20. 100% of that will go to the Ohio Rights Group. If you can't afford it, I'll probably give you one anyway because I'm just that kind-hearted. But I would love to ask you to support the Ohio Rights Group by stopping by our table. But more importantly, remember to vote. Remember about your social media and how important all of you are, because every single one of you have the power to make change. And listen, we are at a tipping point right now. We have the attention of every single major news outlet. And I think John told you earlier, we were contacted yesterday and today by the Dr. Phil show. So I actually have to take a little break from this, and I've got Charles. Charles and I are going to educate Dr. Phil a little bit about CBD. But here's what's happening with the Dr. Phil show. So I'm a little bit nervous. You know, Dr. Phil's a little intimidating, and I'm good at TV, but he's intimidating. So how many people know who Antonio Sabato Jr. is? Okay. Former underwear model, Calvin Klein, hot guy. Used to have a crush on him until today. But he has a situation where his daughter, he felt was abused and neglected because his ex-wife was a cannabis patient, has her own cannabis garden, and he's trying to start a legislative movement to ban any of us who have children 18 or younger from being allowed to consume cannabis. Boo, right? So I'm going to take him on, and I'm going to debate him and hopefully put him in place. I think I'm up to the task. I know that Charles is on my side. So, you know, my plan is to tell stories like Maria and Steve Green and their baby Bree, because this is a man who has had grand mal seizures and has had a lot of difficulty, and I would much rather see someone who's healed from cannabis than have to take the risk of taking pharmaceuticals that could somehow damage them, and I think that we have to stand tall on that. There are other situations. I'm sure that if any of you saw the Dr. Sanjay Gupta special called Weed with little Charlotte, and then these other children who have Dravet syndrome, when you witness the fact of CBD oil, which is a non-psychoactive component, it doesn't get you high, but when you see these children are going from 300 seizures a day to virtually zero, that's a miracle. We cannot deny those miracles to our children, and I will stand tall. I know it's going to be a hard segment, and I know they're going to take their hits at me, and that's why out on social media, when you see them taking the hits at me, I need you guys to have my back, because it's not always easy going up against the prohibitionists and then, you know, some of the negative people there. It's not an easy job, and just so you know, you guys, I don't get paid to do any of this. I do all of this because I genuinely care, and I feel that because we have the eyes and ears of the media right now, I think we can really make a difference. So I hope that I have your support. I'm here, and I give you lots of love, and I give you my word that I will do every single thing within my power to make a difference and see legalization here for you in Ohio.